Hello there, I'm Robbie Miller. I am a fourth year history student at the University of Glasgow. I am running for the position of Honorary Secretary for the Glasgow University Union in the elections on Thursday the 1st of March. I like long walks on the beach, pina coladas and getting caught in the rain.
Right, thanks Robbie, thanks for coming.
Not to worry.
First up, this is your second time running for Honorary Secretary at the GUU, yeah?
Yes.
What's changed since your first time running?
What do you mean in terms of...
What's changed, like what, why do you think that you're going to be successful now in terms of...
Well, I think that when I ran 2 years ago, I was still a very good candidate for the job. I received a sizable number of votes. I think at least 250. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to gain election last time. But not very, but still a sizable portion of the union's membership placed their confidence in me, and I decided to run again because not only as am I very much still the the good candidate that ran 2 years ago, but I've also got more experience on top of that, and when I've been off board, it's not as if I haven't been thinking about things and policies and well, there's not so much things and policies, but thinking about things that are going on that I could perhaps see being different or.
Obviously, one of the issues that was brought up last time you were interviewed by The Guardian was your membership with Freemasons. I think it's still a relevant question to ask. Are you still a member of the Freemasons?
Yeah, I'm honest, I don't know why you're bringing this rubbish up, right? Because in fact it's quite brave to do, because last time the Glasgow Guardian ended up in a spat with the TAB, and it was, and no disrespect to the TAB, it was one of those instances where over half the campus kind of looked at it and went, actually, you know what, the TAB has got a point, and a larger perception on campus actually saw that such questioning was unfair, and for months, in fact, I'm still getting people coming up to me and saying. That what the Guardian asked you in your interview was complete and utter rubbish, right?
Yeah, but obviously the GUU has came along leaps and bounds in terms of its image and reputation in recent years, and kind of has thrown off a lot of the hang-ups that it's had.
Really? Because you haven't actually really noticed that. What? Really? Because you haven't actually noticed that. Your article last week in the closing nominations, right? Nominations focused on the fact that Ailsa Jones was elected unopposed. Not the fact that for the first time in a long while that the union's having a female president. Not that we might be looking at potentially, if Kerry Anderson is successful in this election, that we're looking at the first all-female, possibly the first all-female exec. Actually, I don't know that far back in the union's history if it's ever happened. In fact, when was the last time the union had a female president?
I think it was 15 years ago.
Yeah, who was it?
I couldn't.
Laura Jane Fleming.
Laura Jane Fleming.
Right. And if you want to try and cast those kind of aspersions in my direction, right? All through my involvement with the union, right? Mm-hmm. Not once, right, has my integrity in that regard been called into question, except for with the Glasgow Guardian, right? In fact, I remember when I was on board, right? When I was on board as a PSM, I remember encouraging Kerry Anderson to run initially. I encouraged her to run for this position as well, right? Imogen Cross, my seconder, I encouraged her to run. I encouraged her to run for both. In fact, my regret is not actually proposing Imogen myself, because I was actually considering running last year. But of course, the events from 2 years ago and the scathing attack that I received from the personal attack that I received from the Guardian, right, actually put me off running last year. The Guardian consistently asks why people are not running contested election and blame the institutions, yet the second that someone puts their head above the parapet, right, the Guardian, at any excuse, tries to turn it into character assassination, right?
Okay. Well, the reason I asked is just because I wanted to give you a chance to respond to that, because I think it's something that people would be interested in. You also mentioned you want to start a kind of alcohol awareness campaign within the union. Can you elaborate on this a little bit for us? Because to me, it seems like I mentioned also earlier in your manifesto that the GUU is the main social space on campus, which I think be hard pressed to argue with that. But it's probably a lot of that attributable to the fact that it's probably the best place to drink on campus. Do you not think that perhaps part of its appeal is its kind of status as a good place for a drink?
Yes, but I think you're conflating the issues of promoting alcohol awareness and stopping people drinking, right? It's not about, and I mean, the last thing that believe me, I'm the last person to criticise anyone's drinking habits. I think it's something that we're required to do under our licensing agreement, is to promote more sense of alcohol awareness. And I mean, let's face it, right? Drinking is a choice, right? If it isn't a choice, right, for probably two main reasons, it's not a choice because you've developed an addiction or an alcohol problem, in which case you probably should seek help. Or if it's through peer pressure, then you either need to do the difficult thing and stand up to your friends, or find a different friends group if they're not going to respect your.
What would the kind of alcohol awareness campaign look like?
So I think initially it's just more PR, more postering material, more information. If we provide things in terms of like what percentages or units that we're providing, that obviously if we put up posters about various alcohol awareness charges. I think there's 3 in Glasgow, and if you do need to, or not so much if you do need to, if you feel that you're in that position, then I think the best thing we can do is provide them with information like that, and even if it doesn't affect the drinking habits, because I think like 90% of students. The 90% of students who overdrink, it's something that they do through university. It's part and parcel. They work incredibly hard for degrees. Some, admittedly, work harder than others. And they want to blow off some steam. Then the union is there for them. But I think we also have the other side of the coin, whereby we need to provide them with information. So when they're making a more informed decision, which is always, in my opinion, a better decision, and that. If there does become an issue, then there are means by which seeking help. I also wouldn't be above having getting in contact with alcohol awareness charities to maybe come in and do some sort of drop-in session. If you want to come forward, or if you know someone that you are maybe slightly concerned about, because it's always something that impacts in your friends group. Yeah. You can come down and talk about the best way about allowing them to seek help, and it's something that I think. I mean, it's been well documented that the mental health services at the university are massively overstretched. Now, I think if I remember correctly, I know a person that I do know a person, but I think they had to wait nearly a semester. Now, the question then remains: what were they doing in that time when were suffering from severe stress, anxiety, whatever? The chances are that they were using at least some form of substance, most likely alcohol, to deal with that.
So you also mentioned a review of training for board members. Is that right?
Personnel. When I say personnel,
training,
I thought it was
staff and board members.
Staff, board members, and even to some extent our freshers teams. Our freshers teams, our committees. The personnel that we have, because obviously in Freshers Week we rely very heavily upon.
So what would this training look like?
So it's a bit. That's essentially what I said in the review, right?
Okay.
So I think when I last ran, I proposed first aid training for all board members. I think what as well. I think perhaps things in perhaps drug awareness spiking. I think because I believe that I was told I think it was the last Freshers Week, the SRC Freshers Helpers get training in that. I know I didn't receive any sort of training in
also
to do with issue.
Training in sexual sexual violence
Well, we
prevention
we
training.
do that. That was
And that's
initiated.
Yeah.
That was initiated under the was it the Let's Talk campaign, which I was actually at the launch at.
Yeah.
I was on board. There was 3 board members at that. I was one. Simon Tierney, the Hon Sec, was the other, and Lucy Keown, who was a libraries committee at the time, was the third. I believe it was on a Thursday night, and we have our house committee meeting on the Friday, or it might be the Monday. But either way, it was the next day after it. We came down and essentially said, this is starting. It's still kind of early doors. They were launching the campaign, but they hadn't actually got to the stage where they were formulating what they were going to do.
Okay.
And I was one of the ones that pushed for it on my board to get involved to support the campaign, and from that led the sexual violence prevention training. Unfortunately, by that time, I was no longer on the board of management, and it was then I'm then glad to see that it was carried out. But yeah, it's building on that and having a look at what we can do to better prepare the personnel that we have at our disposal to ensure that members are happy as well as safe.
Okay. Cool. The last question I want to ask: what do you think, in your opinion, is the biggest issue facing GUU at the moment?
I think the biggest issue currently at the moment is probably the fact that we've not filled our PSM quota, which obviously the job of the next Hon Sec will be I think it was actually the advice of the returning officer to have another election as soon as possible. And I think actually the fact that we've not filled our PSM quota is probably systemic. The fact that we haven't engaged with first years and new students for the last 2 years, because the 2-year PSM category generally tends to be either first year or second year students, because you have to commit to being on board for the next 2 years.